remember the first time I was judged for setting a boundary as a new teacher. My admin were looking for volunteers to work summer school, and I had plans over the summer, so I set a boundary not to work it because I knew I would have to require a sub for the majority of the summer, and that just wasn't fair to the rest of the staff and to my team to find coverage. So I went as so I let the admin know, and my admin went as far as coming in the middle of a lesson to write on a sticky note what I would earn working summer school if I to try to convince me to work it. And it still didn't work it. And at this point, I was accused of not being a player by my fellow colleagues and admin. So another time this happened was I stopped working late and my team was furious. She asked me to stay late so we could catch up. I had consistently stayed late to work with her till 6 or 7 p.m. But at this point, I was actually ahead. I had planned and prepped the following week, and I was able to sustain that. And I told her I was happy to meet her during our prep to go over anything we needed to cover. And she said that wouldn't be enough time. And she accused me of not being a team player because I didn't want to stay late with her anymore. She went as far as to go talk to the principal about it, and the principal came to talk to me about working as a team. Well, today we're going to dive into why teachers are judged so harshly for setting boundaries and what to do about it. So let's dive in.
Hey, teacher bestie. My name's Helena, and I'm the creator of the Present Teacher Podcast. I'm a first-year teacher coach, and in this podcast, you are going to learn everything from simple, actionable classroom management, social emotional learning, and teacher wellness strategies. You know that impact you want to make in the classroom? Well, we're going to make it happen here.
So let's talk about why boundaries trigger others. The first thing is they expose societal norms. So, for example, society expects that the good teachers are the ones that sacrifice their personal lives, and the bad ones are those that are selfish enough to care about their personal lives and set some boundaries. And the reality is, this just isn't sustainable. There might be a season in your career where staying late isn't a big deal. I know that was me my first couple of years. But when I started having a family, settling down, that just wasn't an option for me anymore. And so I had to set that boundary, and that exposed the societal norm that in order to be a good teacher and truly care about my students, I had to work endless nights and bring work home and stay late. And like I said, that's just not sustainable. If you want to work in this career long term, you're going to have seasons where it's okay to work a ton of hours, and there's going to be some seasons where you just simply can't. The second thing is they challenge the martyr teacher. So it challenged what society considers a good teacher. Like I said, a good teacher is someone who cares about her students, puts them first, doesn't think of herself. And don't you know that she's a good teacher? Clearly, she cares about her students if she's willing to sacrifice herself like that. And that just challenges that idea that you can be a good teacher without sacrificing that much. And another idea around this is I had to earn my keep, so you do too. There's this whole idea that teachers who had to work a ton of hours feel like other teachers should do it too because that's the rite of passage they had to walk through. So why aren't you doing the hard work that I had to put to go through too? Because that's only fair. So now that we talked about why boundaries trigger others, let's talk about what judgment actually means. So when you're judged by other teachers, it actually means discomfort, not that you're wrong. It's just them projecting that their beliefs and their thoughts and their own self-narrative that they're talking to themselves about in regards to that thing. So if you hear, oh, you're not a team player, that just means that that teacher is constantly telling and accusing themselves of not being a team player if they don't do X, Y, Z, or not being a good teacher if they do X, Y, Z. So it's just simply other teachers projecting their own opinions onto you or their own negative self-talk. And the reality is that's not the truth. It's not ultimately true that in order to be a good teacher, you have to work a ton of hours. I know teachers who work a ton of hours and they're phenomenal teachers. I know teachers who don't work past contract time and they're phenomenal teachers too. It doesn't set the standard how good a teacher is. That's not what makes a good teacher. So now that we talked about what judgment actually means, let's talk about what to do about it. So in order to figure out what to do about that, remember that boundaries is leadership. You are not only showing your students what a healthy work-life balance looks like, including the future teachers in your classroom, but you're setting those boundaries for your future kids, for your family, for yourself. And it's showing leadership to step out of the status quo. Trust me, I've been one of the only teachers to leave at contract time, and it can be hard when you're the only one who's doing that, but it shows a sign of leadership because you are willing to do what's aligned with you and to step out from societal norms and do what you think is best. So you are, again, leading by example to not only your kids or family, but also to the future teachers in the world on what's possible for them. You are showing them that you can still be a good teacher and still have a personal life. The second thing is that boundaries help create a sustainable career. When you have boundaries that feel aligned to you, not saying you have to leave at contract time, but whatever those boundaries are that feel good to you, it's easier to stay in this career long term. And that is my main goal inside the present teacher is I want to help teachers find an easier way to teach. So if they want to stay in this profession for 20 plus years, they can. They're not going to burn themselves out trying to chase unaccomplishable or sorry, I'm mumbling, but just standards that they're not going to be able to live up to. And that also boundaries are changing the future of education. If we have more teachers who are showing that no, actually working yourself to the ground doesn't make you a good teacher, this is what does. We are setting the stage for our future teachers and future generations, and we're showing them what's possible, and we're changing the dynamic one teacher at a time. So, here's how to create habit boundaries. So I like to think of these as SMART boundaries. So they're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Much like Michael Hyatt's way of setting habits, we're going to use this for boundaries. So first, specific. What specifically do you want to do? You want to leave by XYZ time, this many times a week. Then measurable. How many times a week? Attainable. Is it something you can realistically do? Relevant. Is it relevant to your life? And timely. So for example, I will leave 5 times a week at 3:15 p.m. um, by 30 times by the end of the month or 20 times by the end of the month. And then in order to have buy-in and to remind yourself why it's important, you're going to pair it with a why. So for me, that could be so that I can be the best mom and show up fully present for my family. Whatever the reason you're leaving at contract time, pair that and make sure to remind yourself this is why, and this is what's at stake, and this is why I'm setting this boundary now. It's not just because XYZ, it's also because I have a life outside and I have people who are depending on me outside, or I have hobbies or interests or whatever it may be, aspirations like a business that I want to accomplish outside of teaching, and that's totally okay. Give yourself that permission. So, as a recap, we talked about why boundaries trigger other teachers. We also talked about what judgment actually means when it comes to others. Hint, it's nothing about you and it has everything to do with them. And we talked about what you can do about it. So, if you found these tips helpful, I would really appreciate it if you can like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what was your biggest takeaway from this week's content. And if you're wondering where can I start on my prep to make this more sustainable, make sure to check out my prep guide. It has the top 10 strategies I have in regards to maximizing your time on your prep to make teaching easier. If you are wanting to take it a step further and you're wanting to read about a journey of a overachiever, overthinking, people pleasing teacher who goes against societal norms and starts leaving at contract time, and all those stories and messy, funny parts in between, and all the systems and strategies she used to get there, make sure to check out my new book, That New Teacher Next Door. It is coming out very soon, so make sure to check out the link in the description. And if you access the book, you'll get access to my three day challenge leaving work on time, work less, impact more, as a thank you for accessing the book. If you want to take it a step further and you're looking for a community of like-minded teachers to help you along your journey while you are setting up the systems, things like automating your classroom, making planning and prepping easier, grading assignments the week of, being confident with your communication with family and peers, make sure to check out the Present Teacher Circle. That's my community of new and first year teachers who are working together to create systems that make teaching easier. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, remember we are stronger together, and I will see you in the next one, Teacher Bestie. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. I hope that you were able to take away some value that will help you thrive inside and out of the classroom. It would mean the world to me if you could take 5 seconds right now and leave a review on this podcast. And if you found this podcast especially helpful, make sure to take a screenshot of this episode right now and tag me on your socials to let me know you're listening. As always, remember that we are stronger together. With all the love in the world, Helena, aka the Present Teacher. See you next time, Teacher Bestie.